Hi, welcome back, preschoolers. It's Miss Trisha again. Today we're going to read a special book because today is a special day. Did you know that today is a day called Inauguration Day? Now, Inauguration Day is the day when we had one president, but we have another new president that starts the job. So presidents have terms, and that means they can only serve as president for 4 years. They can do that twice, but after that we have to have a new president. Today is Inauguration Day. We have had Donald Trump as our president, but today Joe Biden will become our president. So we're going to read a special book called Grace for President. This book was written by Kelly DiPuccio, and the pictures are by Lauren Pham. Grace for President. On Monday morning in September, Miss Barrington rolled out a big poster with all the president's pictures on it. Grace Campbell could not believe her eyes. Where are all the girls? There's all those presidents, but there's no girls up there. All the way from George Washington to President Barack Obama. That's a very good question, said Miss Barrington. The truth is, our country has never had a woman president. No girl president? Ever? Grace asked. No, I'm afraid not, said Miss Barrington. Grace sat at her desk and stared off and stewed. No girls. Who'd ever heard of such a crazy thing? Finally, she raised her hand. Yes, Grace? I've been thinking it over, and I'd like to be president. Several students in the class laughed. Well, I think that's a star-spangled idea, Grace, said Miss Barrington, her teacher. In fact, we can have our own election right here at Woodrow Wilson Elementary. The snickering in the room stopped. Grace smiled. Would anyone else like to run for president? Mrs. Barrington asked the class. Nobody raised their hands. Becoming president was going to be easy, Grace thought. The next day, Miss Barrington made an announcement. In the name of democracy, I have invited Mr. Waller's class to join in our election. Their class has nominated Thomas Cobb to be their presidential candidate. There he is. Grace's heart sank. Thomas was the school spelling bee champion. His experiments always took a blue ribbon at the science fair, and he was captain of the soccer team. Becoming president wasn't going to be so easy after all, Grace thought. She looks a little worried. The teachers put the names of all 50 states in the District of Columbia into a hat. Everyone except for Grace and Thomas got to choose a state. I'm Texas, said Anthony. I'm New Hampshire, said Rose. I'm Michigan, said Robbie. What does the number 16 mean? Each state is assigned a number of electoral votes. That number is determined by how many people live in the state, said Miss Barrington. Each of you will be a representative for your state. Although our country has 538 electoral votes, Mr. Waller explained, on Election Day, the candidate who receives 270 electoral votes or more wins the election. Why 270? Asked Rose. That's more than half of all the electoral votes, Mr. Waller said. Becoming president really wasn't going to be so easy, Grace thought. Grace came up with a campaign slogan. Make history, vote Grace Campbell for president. Thomas came up with his own campaign slogan. Vote for Thomas Cobb, the best man for the job. Grace listened to what issues were important to the students, and she made a list of campaign promises. A peaceful school, no bullies. A cleaner school, no littering. Better hot lunches, no more fish stick tacos. Thomas made up his own list of promises. Free tutoring, free soccer lessons, fish stick tacos every week. Grace made campaign posters and buttons, and Thomas made posters and buttons too. It's going to be a neck and neck competition here, huh? This election might be close. Each week, the teacher set aside time for the candidates to meet with their constituents. Polls were taken. Voters were making their choices. They both have a lot of people who are trying to convince to vote for them. And then Grace continued her campaign. Vote for Grace. At recess, she gave speeches. Look at all those speeches she was giving to everyone. Do you see her? She's working so hard. During lunch, she handed out free cupcakes. And after school, she held rallies. She's doing a lot of work. It's not easy. Meanwhile, Thomas wasn't worried. He had cleverly calculated that the boys held slightly more electoral votes than the girls. I think he thinks all the boys will vote for him and all the girls will vote for Grace. At recess, Thomas studied his spelling words. During lunch, he worked on his latest science experiment. After school, he played soccer. He wasn't working as hard as Grace, was he? Even before the election, Grace made good on her promises. She joined the safety squad. She organized a school beautification committee. And she volunteered her time in the school cafeteria. She's working hard. In early November, Woodrow Wilson Elementary hosted a special Election Day assembly. Grace and Thomas took their places on stage as the school band began to play. Henry was the first representative to approach the microphone. The Yellowhammer State of Alabama casts its 9 electoral votes for Thomas Cobb. Fletcher said, the frontier state of Alaska casts its 3 electoral votes for the best man for the job, Thomas Cobb. Hannah called out, the Grand Canyon state of Arizona casts its 11 electoral votes for Grace Campbell. And so it went. State after state after state, casting their electoral votes. The scoreboard in the gymnasium kept track of all the totals. The voting demonstration was quickly coming to an end. Clara approached the podium. The Badger State of Wisconsin cast its 10 votes for my best friend, Grace Campbell. Look at this scoreboard. It's awfully close. Thomas has 268 and Grace has 267. Grace looked at the scoreboard. Like I just told you, Thomas had 268 electoral votes and she had 267. There was only one state still unaccounted for. Wyoming. Thomas grinned and Grace felt sick. Sam walked up to the microphone. There he comes. He looked at Thomas. He looked at Grace. He looked down at Grace's handmade flag. Sam didn't say a word. What are you waiting for? Thomas whispered. The band stopped playing. All eyes were on Wyoming. Kind of like at this year's election, a lot of eyes are on Georgia. Finally, Sam cleared his throat. The equality state of Wyoming casts its 3 electoral votes for Grace Campbell. The gymnasium erupted, and there were a few boos. Miss Barrington approached the podium with 270 electoral votes. The winner is Grace Campbell. Grace looked stunned. Thomas looked stunned, and Grace hugged Sam. "Why did you do it?" she asked. Sam handed Grace his flag. "Because," he said, "I thought you were the best person for the job." The following week, students in Miss Barrington's class were preparing for their career day presentations. Grace volunteered to go first. She stood at the front of the room and glanced at the poster still hanging on the wall. "My name is Grace Campbell, and when I grow up, I am going to be President of the United States." This time, everyone believed that she would. There's the end. Look, that's her when she grows up, becoming president. Today is also a special inauguration day because it's the first time. We don't have a woman or a girl who's become president yet, but today is the first time that we're going to have a vice president who is a woman. We've never had that before in our country. So today, a woman named Kamala Harris is also going to be sworn in. She's going to hold up her hand and make a promise that she wants to do what's best for our country and to help lead our country. And she's going to be our first female vice president. It's a very special day. Make sure you check out our activities, and I will see you guys tomorrow.